Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. Sorry about my throat being scratchy. I actually just got a cold, unfortunately. My mom was feeling sick for a while, and then I guess I got it. But I'm doing okay. I just need a little bit of rest after this review for Voila Glass Half Empty album review that I've been wanting to review since yesterday, but I didn't feel like doing a video last night, even though I wanted to. I was not gonna do it because at 3 a.m. I was gonna do the video, but I decided to wait till today. So I'm gonna discuss what I listened to for the 14 tracks from Voila's new record, Glass Half Empty Part 2, the second part to the Glass Half Empty albums that they've been making since Part 1 back in June, and let you know my thoughts on Voila's 14-track record. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with It's Got a Ring to It, which is not a bad song. It's solid in its own way. I think the lead singer does sound alright in it, and I know it's only two guys in this band, but overall, I think with the vocalist, he doesn't sound so bad singing. It's just there's some moments where his voice gets cracked up from time to time when he tries to hit the high notes. But other than that, 4.5 out of 5. All Sales Are Final featuring Lauren Sanderson. She does some rapping in this track that I wasn't sure if I was on board with, but when she starts doing a regular singing, it sounds okay. So other than that, I think Voila did a pretty solid job on this track, so 4.5 out of 5 for this one. His voice got a little choked up towards the end, but it wasn't terrible. It just, I don't know if I was feeling for it. It sounded cracked up in a way with his high-pitched singing. So overall, 4.5 out of 5. Train of Thoughts is a good song in its own way. I do dig this track for how it sounds, so I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. There's some moments where I like it, moments where I'm like, it's fine. So, Get a Room featuring Megan Cromwell actually was a pretty good song in its own way. I do dig how Megan Cromwell was singing the track. Maybe there were some moments in the track that her vocals sounded a little iffy, but other than that, it was a strong track, and it sounded pretty nice of a song, so 4.75 out of 5 for this song. Dancing on Our Graves is a pretty good song in its own way. I do dig the melody. I do dig how the lyrics are well written, and overall, I think this is probably one of the favorite songs on the record. So 4.75 out of 5. Then we get to Ballerina featuring The Word Alive. Telly Smith is singing in this track. I think this is one of my favorite songs, for sure. It's emotional, it's sad, but it sounds really good in its own way. So this is a 5 out of 5 for this one. I do dig this one with how Telly's singing it, and some of Voila's singing, the vocalist singing in the band Voila. It sounds good. It's spot on, pretty strong. So 5 out of 5 for this track. Even Telly Smith made the song work, but mostly the highlight was the vocalist from Voila singing and the chorus sounding amazing. School Night is above average of a track. I'd give it a 4.25 out of 5. I don't hate this, I just have some critiques with this one, with some of the melody and how it's structured. So 4.25 out of 5. Straight Jacket is a good song in its own way. Not one of my favorites, but it's a solid one. So 4.5 out of 5. It was one of the singles for this album, along with Train of Thoughts being one of the singles. But overall, it's fine for what it is, so I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. The vocals are not so bad in this track. Heartbreak Hotline is a above average track. It's just mediocre at best. I think some of the vocals excuse my coughing. Some of the vocals from the vocalist is alright. And you can let me know in the comment section below what the vocalist's name is, the two guys' name is, because I tend to forget. Because last time I remember reviewing their Glass Half Empty Part 1 album back in, I think, late June. And this is like running into 5 months later for the second part. But other than that, I think it's an above average track. It's not terrible, but I have a few critiques. 4.25 out of 5. War was a solid track in its own way. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's not bad for how it sounds for 4 minutes and 8 seconds, but it does alright for the runtime. Love Her Next is a good song in its own way. I think with how it sounds overall was the vocals from the lead singer, it's not too bad. So I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. The Autopsy of You and Me is a good song in its own way too. I do dig how this track is sounding, and melody-wise it's not bad. Even Naraya's vocals, or the next song has Naraya, my mistake. Thinking of the next track, Lie With Me, The Autopsy of You and Me, is a 4.5 out of 5. Now to talk about Lie With Me, featuring Naraya. Good song for how it sounds. Has one of the second to last tracks on the record, and I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5 for this one. The vocals are not so bad in this, and the melody and how it's sounding is pretty strong, so in its own way. The Treasure 6 Feet Under is the closing track to the record, and it's a nice closing track to end this record, and I think with how the vocalist sounds in this track, it's not too terrible. But yeah, keep in mind, I'm very new to Voila, so I tend to forget the band's names, the band members' names. I know it's only two guys in this band, but other than that, I think from what I listened to, the Treasure 6 Feet Under is getting a 4.5 out of 5. So overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, what do I think of Voila's Glass Half Empty Part 2 album? I think it's a little weaker than the Glass Half Empty Part 1, but overall, I think it's not terrible. It's just not bad. And sorry about the background noise, that's my eBay going off. But overall, I think the vocals from this record are a little stronger, but it has its weak points from time to time with certain songs. Like School Night and Heartbreak Hotline were my least favorites. Some of the other 4.5 out of 5 songs are alright. And Ballerina was the favorite on this record. Was my personal favorite. So if I were to give Voila Glass Half Empty Part 2 a score, I'm going to give it an average 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad. It's just average. It's a little weaker than the first part, but it's not terrible in any way. But it is a little longer than the first part. It's like 14 minutes extra longer. An extra 14 minutes longer, I meant to say, than the first part, because the first part was only like 33 and a half minutes, and that wasn't a long runtime. But overall, 7.5 out of 10 for Voila Glass Half Empty Part 2 for their new album. I hope you enjoyed this album review. I'm sorry that it took me a bit to get to this album. I know it came out on the 22nd, but I didn't get around to it, and through the weekend I was just not motivated to do videos after the last video, which was the Ice Cube album review. So pretty much, I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you guys for watching.